My name's Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today we're going to talk about the 14 best rock and roll Christmas songs. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Tell me if you knew these tracks or not. Well, let's start. The first one is my favorite Christmas song. It is Merry Christmas, Everybody by Slade. One of the most underrated British bands of all time, in my opinion. They're amazing. And this track was released in 1973. It was as a single. It was written by the band's guitarist and vocalist Noddy Holder and the bassist Jim Lea. And when it was released more than 5 decades ago, it sold over 1 million copies. And it is their last number one single and by far their best-selling single. It just keeps appearing on the charts every year. And it is my favorite one. You know, it's a funny song. The rhythm is fantastic. And, you know, Noddy Holder's voice is just fantastic. You know, there's in the final, the final, one of the final parts of the song, you know, he screams, "It's Christmas." It's just unbelievable. If you haven't heard the song, check it out. And, you know, as you probably know, I can't play the songs due to copyright issues. So if you go below the video, there is a playlist on Spotify that I did that you can find all the songs we're going to talk about on this video and much more, okay? But stick in this video, stay here because I'm going to tell you really a lot of interesting stuff about these songs, and then after that you go and listen to them, okay? Let's move to the second one. It is Father Christmas by the Kinks. It was released in 1977. Written by the band's main songwriter, guitarist, and vocalist Ray Davies. And it is quite interesting because the lyrics are from the perspective of a working class kid that don't want to, gain presents for Christmas. He wants money and a job for his father. And it's really interesting because it kind of talks about department store Father Christmas, that is the way usually the British call Santa Claus, and who is beaten up by a gang of poor kids telling him to give them money instead of toys and leave the toys for the little rich boys. It's really a funny song, and it's incredible because it shows the other side of Christmas. The publicity and the movies and many songs paint a picture of Christmas like a perfect time of the year. Everybody's happy, everybody's having presents, and it's a perfect time of the year, but it's not for everybody. For most people, it isn't. So it's really a really interesting perspective of that. And now we move to the third song that is also really cool. If you haven't heard, you should check it out. It is Step Into Christmas by Elton John. And it was like the Slade song. It was also released in 1973 as a single. And obviously, like most of the Elton John songs, it was mainly written, the lyrics were mainly written by Bernie Taupin, his longtime collaborator, lyricist, one of the most important people in rock and roll music for sure. And it was also credited to Elton John. And it is the B-side of that song was also a Christmas song of that single, which was called Ho Ho Ho, Who'd Be a Turkey at Christmas. But Step Into Christmas is one of the most famous rock and roll Christmas songs, and certainly the most famous Elton John Christmas song. And it's really a really nice track, and it is, a classic in my opinion, one of the best as well. And let's move to the next one, which is another song that also shows that Christmas might not be as perfect as we all think it is. And it is Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight by the Ramones. I mean, it's just a wonderful track. It was written by the band's vocalist Joey Ramone. And, if you live in a family that is constantly fighting, there is instability and etc., and you don't know what's going to happen, it's quite like that, like the lyrics say of this song. And it's just a really, it's another song that really shows that Christmas is not always perfect. So it's a great track, and it was part of their 1989 album Brain Drain. And we move to another song that doesn't show the perfect Christmas time, which is No Presents for Christmas by King Diamond. And curiously, this was the first single King Diamond released after he left Merciful Fate. It was released in 1985 and also has the drummer Mikey D, who later on also became famous as a member of Motorhead, and nowadays for almost a decade already, he plays with Scorpions. And the lyrics say that Santa Claus needs help to go around the world and give the kids the presents, but nobody wants to help him, and people don't care enough to help him. So that's the central part of the song, and it is a quite heavy song, probably the heaviest in terms of music from this list, and it's quite cool. If you haven't heard it, you check it out. And now, believe it or not, did you know that AC/DC has a Christmas song? Well, that's it. They have, and it was released on their 1990 praised and successful album Razor's Edge. It is Mistress for Christmas. The lyrics is quite what you would expect from AC/DC if AC/DC wrote a Christmas song. So, Mistress for Christmas. It is a really fun song, and it was like the entire album. It was written, the lyrics and most of the music was written by the backbones of the band, the brothers Angus and Malcolm Young, and it is a really cool song. You should check it out. Now we move to a few others that are more well known. Probably the best known Christmas song of all time, which is Jingle Bells. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the story of this song. That the cool versions, the cool rock and roll versions of this song that I like are from Brian Setzer Orchestra. Brian Setzer, who was the vocalist and guitarist of Stray Cats. It is a beautiful version, and he changed the lyrics a little bit, giving that rockabilly, transforming into a rockabilly themed song, but also a Christmas song. And there's a few adjustments on the lyrics that makes the song quite cool. And the other version that is pretty cool was made by Skid Row about almost 20 years ago for a Christmas compilation album. And it is really cool because it's really heavy. It's like a hard rock version of Jingle Bells. And, it really reminds AC/DC a little bit too. It's a great version. You should hear it too. And, the interesting thing about Jingle Bells is because it was originally, it had no connection with Christmas. It had more connection with Thanksgiving. And it was written in 1850 by James Lord Pierpont at the Simpson Tavern in Medford. And it was around 1860 and 1870 that it became more associated with winter and Christmas. And it is one of the most famous Christmas songs of all time. And we move to another song that is quite famous, and it is a little bit connected with Jingle Bells, which is Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms. It was originally written by Joe Beal and Jim Booth in 1957, and it was recorded and released by Bobby Helms and became one of the most famous Christmas songs of all time. The authorship of the song is disputed, but it circles around these three guys I mentioned it. And some of the lyrics are actually an extension of Jingle Bells, which is an old Christmas standard, as I explained. And there are a few nice covers of Jingle Bell Rock, like the Hall & Oates version, which is quite cool. You should check it out too. It is on our playlist. And we move to the next one, which is Little Saint Nick by Beach Boys. It was originally written by the cousins, Mr. Brian Wilson and Mike Love, were part of the Beach Boys. And it was recorded by them in 1963, released as a single. And like, most of these songs, it mixes an interesting thing about the artist or the band and Christmas. So at the time they were really into surf music and talking about cars a lot. So it mixes hot rod themes with Christmas, and it is one of the most famous songs in the United States, Christmas rock and roll songs, for sure. And we move to another one, which was also released that same year, also in 1963, which is Slate Ride by the Ronettes. Is a song that was actually written by Mitchell Parrish in 1948, and it was successfully covered by the Ronettes in 1963, the band that had Ronnie Spector as a member. And it was part of an album called A Christmas Gift for You from Phyllis Records. It was an album of Christmas songs that was produced by Phil Spector and released by the label Phyllis. That's from where comes the name of the album. And we move to another classic song that I really love, which is Run, Rudolph, Run by Chuck Berry. And it was written by Chuck Berry, but it was also credited to Johnny Marks and Marvin Brody. And it was due to Mark's trademark on the character Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And although these other two guys didn't help Chuck Berry to write the song, they weren't part of the song at all, he had to share the songwriting credit with Mark because of the trademark. He was the one who created the character Rudolph. And originally, Chuck Berry didn't know the character was trademarked. So he wrote the song and he didn't know Rudolph was a trademark name. And then Johnny Marks sued him. And consequently, he was given the songwriting credit as well. But Chuck used to say that Marvin Brody, who was the third guy in the equation, didn't exist. And according to Chuck, it was part of a scheme to make more money for Marks and his publisher. And the interesting thing also about this song, that was released by Chuck in 1958. It is a 12-bar blues song, and it is quite similar to his hit Johnny B. Good. You can hear it, the similarity. And it is melodically similar to his song Little Queenie that was released 1 year later in 1959. And it was covered by, huge amount of artists over the decades. It was covered by the Foo Fighters, Bryan Adams, Grateful Dead, Keith Richards, Foghat, Jimmy Buffett, Billy Idol, Joe Perry, Lemmy Kilmister, and Billy Gibbons, and many others. So it is a great song as well. And we move to the final ones. We're getting there. Indi Jubilo by Mike Oldfield. It is the instrumental version of the traditional German Christmas carol of the same name. It is a beautiful instrumental song, the only instrumental song we listed here today. And it was released as a single in 1975. And you probably know Mike Oldfield is best known for Tubular Bells, that incredible album that strangely became the theme song of the horror movie The Exorcist, released in 1973. So you probably know Mike from that if you don't know him. And the final two songs are from Beatles members. And the first one is Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time, which was released in 1979. It was first recorded during the first sessions for his solo album, McCartney 2. But it was released McCartney 2 was released in 1980, but this song was released in 79, following the Wings' final album, Back to the Egg. And the interesting thing is that just like on McCartney 1, 2, 3, McCartney did everything by himself. He wrote the songs, he sang, and he played all the instruments. And in this song particularly, he recorded the vocals, he recorded the keyboards, the synthesizers, guitars, bass, drums, percussion, jingle bells, and also produced the track. He did everything by himself. And the final one is probably one of the most famous Christmas songs of all time, which is Happy Christmas by John Lennon and Yoko Ono. It is probably also one of the most covered songs of all time. And it was recorded by the couple and the Plastic Ono Band and the Harlem Community Choir. And it was produced by the couple, John and Yoko, alongside Phil Spector. But besides being a Christmas song, it is also a protest song because it talks about war, and it was also a song that, besides being a Christmas and New Year song, it is a protest song against the Vietnam War. And that's it. These are a few great rock and roll songs that I think are the greatest of all time. Please tell me if there's any other great rock and roll themed Christmas themed songs that you also like, and please leave the comment and tell me. And if you want to hear these songs and many other cool ones, you should go to the description, visit the playlist we did, and check them out. And obviously, don't forget to visit rockandrollgarage.com. Okay, thank you for watching, and see you later.